What if the key to gaining respect, influencing others, and commanding attention wasn't about speaking the loudest, but understanding the hidden cues of human behavior? Have you ever wondered why some people can walk into a room and instantly captivate everyone, while others struggle to make an impression despite their best efforts? The truth is, there are subtle psychological techniques that most people don't even realize are at play in every interaction, powerful strategies that can shape how others perceive you and, more importantly, how you can connect with them on a deeper level. These techniques aren't about manipulation, they're about understanding the way the human mind works, and using that knowledge to create meaningful, authentic connections. In this video, we'll explore 12 of the most powerful psychological secrets that only 1% of people truly understand. Stick around till the end, and you'll walk away with tools that could change how others see you, without you ever needing to change who you are. Ready to unlock the secrets? Let's dive in. 1. The echo effect, building instant emotional rapport. Psychological depth. The echo effect is grounded in the principle that humans are naturally inclined to trust those who make them feel heard and understood. At a neural level, when people hear their own beliefs or words echoed back to them, their brain activates areas associated with safety, familiarity, and reward. This principle operates subconsciously and has profound implications for building trust and rapport in both personal and professional relationships. The reason this works is deeply tied to the concept of emotional resonance. Humans are wired to connect with others who reflect their internal state. When you mirror someone's values, ideas, or even their body language, you create a subtle feedback loop. This loop reinforces the connection between you and the other person. In essence, they begin to feel a sense of kinship with you, making them more likely to trust you, open up to you, and ultimately, be influenced by you. Example: consider a situation where you are having a conversation with a close friend who shares their desire for more stability in their life. Instead of just nodding or giving a simple, "I understand," a more powerful response would be to mirror their underlying value. You could say, "I completely understand. When life feels stable, everything else seems to fall into place, doesn't it?" By reflecting their desire for stability, you not only echo their words but also resonate with their emotional state, making your connection stronger and more meaningful. This technique is particularly valuable in relationships where trust is essential, such as in professional settings, therapy, or even with family members. When used sincerely, the echo effect can transform a basic conversation into a deep, emotional connection. Practical application. In your daily interactions, instead of simply repeating what someone says, focus on identifying what truly matters to them. Mirror not just the words but the values and emotions behind them. For example, if someone shares their struggle with work-life balance, instead of saying, "I get that," try saying something like, "I know that when work feels overwhelming, it's hard to find time for yourself. It's so important to feel at peace in both areas of life." This subtle shift in your responses can significantly enhance your ability to build rapport. It tells the other person that you're not just hearing their words, you're truly understanding their perspective and emotions. Building empathy. This technique also works wonders in situations where empathy is crucial. Think of a time when you've had a difficult conversation with someone going through a tough time. Whether they're grieving, struggling with illness, or feeling uncertain about their future, echoing their feelings without judgment can provide immense emotional support. By reflecting their inner experience, you're letting them know they're not alone in their thoughts, and that you truly understand what they're going through. 2. The 2-second rule, the psychology of power through silence. Psychological depth. Silence is often undervalued in communication. It's commonly associated with awkwardness or discomfort, but when used intentionally, it becomes an extremely powerful tool. The 2-second rule taps into the psychological concept of processing fluency, the brain's tendency to process information more easily when it's presented in a calm and deliberate manner. By pausing for just 2 seconds before responding, you not only allow yourself time to think and formulate a more considered answer, but you also create a perception of control and authority. When you pause before speaking, the brain doesn't interpret this as hesitation. Instead, it perceives it as confidence and thoughtfulness. The brief silence allows your words to breathe, making them feel more impactful and deliberate. People around you begin to view you as someone who is in control, who doesn't rush decisions or responses, and who has the authority to take their time. This technique is often employed by leaders, negotiators, and great communicators to command respect and create an aura of calm confidence. They understand that by slowing down their speech and allowing a moment of silence, they can elevate the power of their words. Example: imagine you're in a business meeting and someone asks you a direct question about a project you're managing. Instead of immediately blurting out an answer, you take 2 seconds, just enough time to gather your thoughts, maintain eye contact, and present your response thoughtfully. This brief pause tells everyone in the room that you are in control, that you don't feel rushed, and that your words are worth listening to. Practical application: you can start practicing the 2-second rule in both personal and professional interactions. Next time someone asks you a question, especially one that requires a meaningful or impactful response, take a deliberate pause. Don't rush to answer. Let the silence speak for you. This moment of stillness will amplify your words, creating a sense of authority without needing to say much. Example scenario: a classic example is when someone asks you a simple question like, "What do you do for a living?" The temptation is to immediately give a quick response, but instead take a beat. Look them in the eye, pause for 2 seconds, and then reply, "I help people break through the patterns that limit them." Notice how the pause shifts the conversation dynamic. Your answer now carries more weight, and the other person is more likely to view you as someone with authority and purpose. The power of silence in leadership. Leaders and top negotiators often use this technique to maintain control during tense moments. By creating space before responding to an important question, they maintain emotional control and avoid knee-jerk reactions, making their responses feel more strategic and thought through. 3. The unfinished sentence technique, creating cognitive curiosity. Psychological depth. Humans are inherently curious creatures. One of the most effective ways to harness this curiosity is through the use of open loops, a psychological concept based on the Zarek effect, which refers to our tendency to remember unfinished tasks or incomplete thoughts. When we're presented with an unfinished sentence or a story that doesn't have a clear conclusion, our brains feel an intrinsic need to fill in the gap, to resolve the open loop. This technique creates a sense of cognitive tension, pulling the listener's attention toward the unresolved thought. It's the same psychological mechanism that makes cliffhangers in books, movies, or TV shows so effective. The brain simply can't ignore the unfinished narrative, which draws attention and keeps the listener engaged. Example: you've probably experienced this when listening to a speaker who starts a powerful sentence and leaves it hanging. For example, they might say, "Most people think they know the reason they're unhappy, but the real reason is," and then pause, leaving the rest unsaid. That pause creates an open loop in your mind, and your brain can't help but fill the gap, trying to figure out the answer. The longer the pause, the more your brain is hooked on trying to complete the thought. Practical application. To apply this technique in everyday interactions, try starting a sentence with a powerful statement, and then stopping just before the conclusion. For instance, you might say, "I've learned the one thing that can completely change how you approach life, but I'll tell you after this." The pause creates intrigue, pulling your audience in as they anticipate the resolution. Engaging in storytelling. This is a technique widely used in storytelling. By leaving out crucial pieces of information and only revealing them at the right time, you increase suspense and engagement. Whether you're telling a story to a friend, presenting an idea at work, or engaging in casual conversation, starting a sentence and then pausing before delivering the punchline or conclusion will keep the listener actively engaged and hanging on to your every word. 4. The one-word flip, reclaiming power without confrontation. Psychological depth. Often, our first instinct when confronted or challenged is to respond defensively, to explain ourselves or justify our actions. However, this approach can often lead to escalating tension or giving away our power. The one-word flip is a minimalist yet highly effective technique that helps you maintain control of the situation without the need for confrontation. By responding with a single word, such as, "Really?" or "Seriously?" in a calm and neutral tone, you can flip the emotional pressure back onto the other person without engaging in a heated argument. This forces the other person to reflect on their words or actions, making them question whether they've crossed a line or overstepped boundaries. Example: imagine you're in a conversation with someone who makes a sarcastic remark about your work. Instead of immediately defending yourself or getting defensive, you respond with a calm, "Really?" This single word disrupts the flow of their aggression, forcing them to rethink their approach. It's not about passive-aggressive behavior, it's about calmly and non-reactively signaling that their behavior isn't acceptable. Practical application. The one-word flip can be used in many situations. Whether in personal conflicts, workplace disagreements, or even casual interactions. It's an effective way to assert your boundaries without escalating the situation. Next time you're confronted with sarcasm or negativity, try using this technique. A neutral, "Really?" can disarm the situation, making the other person reconsider their tone without you needing to engage in a full-on confrontation. 5. The inception technique, planting ideas that feel self-generated. Psychological depth. One of the most subtle yet powerful forms of influence is the inception technique, which involves planting an idea or suggestion in someone's mind in a way that makes them believe it is their own idea. This technique relies on the principle that people resist being told what to do, but they are much more likely to accept ideas they believe they've come up with independently. In psychology, this principle is often linked to motivational interviewing, where the goal is to guide someone towards self-realization rather than directly telling them what to do. When someone believes an idea is their own, they internalize it more deeply, and it becomes more likely that they'll act on it. Example: instead of directly telling someone, "You should leave that toxic relationship," a more effective approach might be to ask, "Have you ever noticed how much that relationship drains your energy?" This question doesn't feel like advice, it's a gentle suggestion that opens the door for the person to reflect on their situation and come to their own conclusions. Practical application. Next time you want to influence someone's behavior, consider guiding them to their own realization rather than directly giving advice. By asking open-ended questions that encourage self-reflection, you allow the person to arrive at the solution themselves. This not only makes the change more lasting but also more ethical and respectful of the other person's autonomy. 6. The power of the pause, harnessing the silent authority. Psychological depth. The power of the pause is a subtle yet effective way to harness control in conversations without speaking. Similar to the 2-second rule, this technique emphasizes the impact of deliberate silence. However, its application goes beyond just creating space before speaking. It focuses on the strategic use of pauses to disrupt the usual flow of conversation and assert authority. Pauses in speech have a profound psychological impact on the listener. When you remain silent in a conversation, it activates the listener's brain to fill in the gaps, and they start paying more attention to what you say next. Silence communicates that you are calm, confident, and in control, while also allowing others to reflect on what has been said. Example: imagine you are negotiating a deal, and someone presents an offer. Instead of immediately countering or agreeing, you simply pause and maintain eye contact. This momentary silence creates tension and forces the other person to either fill the space with more information or reconsider their approach. Practical application. The power of the pause works well in high-stakes situations, such as job interviews or negotiations. It helps you maintain control without appearing passive. By intentionally using silence, you show that you're thoughtful and composed, allowing your words to carry more weight when they do come out. Influence through silence. The power of the pause also has a unique way of influencing others' behaviors and thoughts. When others are compelled to speak or act in response to your pause, they may inadvertently reveal more about their intentions or feelings, giving you valuable insights. It's not about dominating the conversation but subtly controlling its pace and direction. 7. The power of suggestion: how to influence through language. Psychological depth. The power of suggestion is based on the idea that the way we frame our words can significantly influence how others perceive and act on them. It's rooted in cognitive linguistics, the study of how language influences our thoughts and behaviors. The power of suggestion works through strategic language choices that guide others toward a desired outcome without overtly telling them what to do. One of the key mechanisms behind this is the semantic priming effect, where the words you use can prime someone's brain to make decisions that align with the suggestion you've planted. For instance, phrases like, "Have you thought about?" or "Imagine if," gently nudge others to consider new possibilities, making them feel like they've come to the idea on their own. Example: instead of saying, "You should try this strategy to improve your work," consider saying, "Imagine what it would be like if your workflow was more efficient and stress-free." Have you ever considered this approach? The latter suggestion taps into the listener's imagination and invites them to envision the benefits of adopting the new approach without feeling like they're being told what to do. Practical application. To use the power of suggestion effectively, think about how you can present ideas as opportunities or questions rather than directives. This will empower others to take ownership of the idea, making them more likely to act on it. 8. The mirror technique: gaining trust by reflecting behavior. Psychological depth. The mirror technique builds on the concept of behavioral mimicry, which suggests that humans naturally trust others who exhibit similar behaviors or characteristics to themselves. This technique involves subtly mirroring the body language, tone of voice, and speech patterns of the person you're interacting with to foster a deeper connection. Research in social psychology shows that people are more likely to trust someone who mirrors their nonverbal cues, such as posture, gestures, and facial expressions. This subconscious mimicry creates a sense of shared understanding and emotional resonance. By reflecting the other person's actions, you signal that you are on the same wavelength, leading to stronger rapport and trust. Example: in a business meeting, if the person you're speaking with leans forward to emphasize a point, you might mirror this by subtly leaning forward as well. If they smile, you might mirror the smile to signal that you're engaged and receptive. This isn't about mimicking every gesture exactly, but reflecting the general energy and emotions of the person. Practical application. You can start using the mirror technique in your interactions by observing the person's body language and subtle emotional cues. By subtly reflecting their behavior, you can increase their comfort and trust in you. This technique works particularly well in situations like interviews, sales, or negotiations, where establishing a connection is key to success. 9. The anchoring technique: creating emotional stability. Psychological depth. Anchoring is a technique based on the principle that specific stimuli can trigger emotional responses. By creating positive associations with particular actions, words, or gestures, you can anchor feelings of trust, calm, or confidence in a person. This psychological technique taps into classical conditioning, where repeated exposure to a stimulus such as a gesture or phrase can elicit a conditioned emotional response. Anchoring is often used in therapy, coaching, and personal development to help individuals trigger positive emotions during times of stress or uncertainty. For example, if someone is feeling anxious or overwhelmed, using an anchoring phrase like, "Remember the last time you felt confident and calm, just tap your fingers together and feel that sense of peace," can help them anchor to a moment of emotional stability. Example: in a stressful business negotiation, you might use a specific phrase or gesture every time you want to instill calmness or confidence. By consistently repeating this gesture or phrase in moments where you feel confident or in control, it will eventually trigger those same feelings whenever you use it in future situations. Practical application. To use anchoring effectively, pair positive emotions or states of mind with specific behaviors or words. For example, every time you feel confident during a meeting, gently tap your fingers together. With practice, you'll be able to use that same gesture to invoke confidence in future situations, even when you're feeling uncertain. 10. The reciprocity principle: gaining influence through giving. Psychological depth. The reciprocity principle is based on a fundamental psychological rule that humans tend to return favors. It's a social norm that says when someone does something for us, we feel obligated to reciprocate in kind. This principle is central to many forms of influence and is widely used in marketing, sales, and personal interactions. However, the key to using reciprocity effectively is not to give with the expectation of receiving something in return, but to create an environment where the other person feels genuinely compelled to offer something back. This principle works because it plays into our innate sense of fairness and social exchange. When we receive something unexpectedly, we feel a natural inclination to return the favor, often going beyond what we initially received. This is a principle deeply embedded in human behavior, reinforcing the dynamics of trust and cooperation. Example: consider a situation where you offer helpful advice or assistance to a colleague without expecting anything in return. Over time, they may feel compelled to offer you support, whether in the form of an introduction, a favor, or helpful feedback. By offering value first, you establish a cycle of goodwill that encourages others to reciprocate. Practical application. In personal or professional settings, think about how you can offer help, support, or value to others without expecting immediate returns. This could be as simple as giving someone useful advice, sharing a resource, or offering to lend a hand. When you give with genuine intent, the principle of reciprocity will often lead to a greater sense of connection and future opportunities for mutual benefit. These next 5 psychological techniques offer you deeper insights into human behavior and influence. By incorporating them into your interactions, you can enhance your ability to connect with others, assert your presence, and subtly guide the outcomes of your conversations and relationships. 11. The foot in the door technique: gradual persuasion. Psychological depth. The foot in the door technique is based on the principle of commitment and consistency, a concept from social psychology. People have a natural desire to act in ways that align with their past behavior, so once they commit to a small request, they are more likely to agree to a larger request later on. This technique works because it capitalizes on our inherent need for consistency. When someone agrees to a small request, they feel the need to maintain consistency in their behavior, making them more likely to say yes to larger, more demanding requests later. This principle is especially effective in situations where you are trying to persuade someone to take action, like making a purchase, signing a petition, or agreeing to a proposal. By starting with a small ask, you build rapport and set the stage for bigger requests down the line. Example: imagine you ask a colleague if they would be willing to participate in a quick survey about their work experience. After agreeing to this small request, they may be much more likely to agree to a follow-up interview or take part in a larger project related to the topic. Practical application. In professional settings, use the foot in the door technique to gradually introduce more significant commitments. If you are seeking a larger project or investment, begin by requesting a smaller favor or commitment, then build from there. It's an effective way to increase the likelihood of success over time. 12. The power of reciprocity in relationships: mutual support for mutual growth. Psychological depth. The power of reciprocity in relationships expands on the reciprocity principle but focuses specifically on its application within personal relationships. In relationships, whether personal, professional, or romantic, people are more likely to invest time, energy, and effort into relationships where they feel that their contributions are reciprocated. This dynamic creates a sense of mutual support, trust, and emotional balance, essential for long-lasting and healthy connections. While reciprocity involves giving and receiving, it goes beyond tangible favors or exchanges. It encompasses emotional support, empathy, and mutual respect. By offering support, understanding, or kindness, you build a framework for reciprocal actions that strengthen the bond over time. It is about creating a balanced dynamic where both parties feel seen, valued, and appreciated. Example: consider a friendship where both people share their successes and challenges, always offering encouragement or a helping hand when needed. This mutual exchange fosters a sense of trust, making it more likely that they'll support each other in times of need. It creates a relationship where the give and take is consistent, building long-term commitment. Practical application. In both personal and professional settings, think about how you can offer support and value to others. Not with the expectation of direct compensation, but with the understanding that relationships thrive on mutual reciprocity. It's not just about material exchanges but also emotional support, validation, and encouragement. In this video, we've uncovered some powerful psychological techniques that can transform the way you communicate and interact with others. Whether you're looking to increase trust, gain influence, or foster stronger relationships, these strategies can help you navigate social dynamics with greater ease and effectiveness. The key is not to manipulate others, but to better understand how human minds work and to use that knowledge to connect more deeply, build rapport, and guide conversations toward positive outcomes. By applying these techniques, you not only enhance your interpersonal skills but also grow as an individual, learning to be more present, empathetic, and influential in your relationships. Whether it's the subtle power of silence, the magnetic pull of suggestion, or the gentle art of mirroring, each of these methods offers you a chance to build stronger, more meaningful connections without changing who you are. So, which of these techniques are you most excited to try? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights on psychology, influence, and personal growth. Until next time, stay strategic, stay aware, and keep evolving your mind. If you found this video valuable, share it with someone who could benefit from these insights. By helping others understand these principles, you empower them to make more informed decisions in their daily interactions. Stay tuned for more videos that dive deep into the world of human behavior, psychology, and influence.